Hi everyone. I hope that this video finds all of you well. I never imagined that when you guys went away for spring break that the rest of our classes would be conducted via online, but we are where we are. So um, I'm going to send out an email after I upload this video so that I can better clarify what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks and how this will work. So look for that. And this video, the first one I'm making here, is going to be kind of a recap of what we had done the week prior to spring break. I want to kind of do a trial run to see how this video works. I know the quality is not the greatest from the laptop computer that I'm working from in the Mansfield sunroom here, but anyway, I may work from my phone and it has better quality and then upload that way, but we'll just do this as a trial run first. So what I look for is in the after you view the video, I'd like for you to have any questions or comments related to the content be sent to me in an email, and then what I think I'll do is before the next video is I'll do a recap of questions or comments or examples or things like that that students had brought forward. So um, bear with me while we kind of work through this together. So what I'd like to do is I want to start with some of the content, and I'll be sending out a PowerPoint to go with the material that we'll be addressing in this upcoming week as well as the future weeks. And I think I'll probably do a video per module or per chapter from the book. So if we're dealing with social cognitive theory, I'll have a video that will address that. If it's information processing theory, etc. And and then again, I'll communicate through the emails to due dates of materials, what I'll send out, etc., etc. So let's do this. Let's do a recap of the Piaget and Vygotsky discussion that we had the week prior to spring break, and then we'll see if there's any concerns or comments related to the video. So you will remember that what we've done in the class period prior to spring break was we started talking about Piaget and Vygotsky, and what we really did was we did that Piagetian exercise, which was the Japanograms, and we also kind of did a Sports Center highlights of the main ideas from Piaget and from Vygotsky. And if you'll take a look at the module 6 and you take a look at what that chapter, it's a very short chapter, but when you take a look at that chapter, you kind of see that the main ideas from Piaget and Vygotsky were discussed, and we posted some of those from the module onto the board. And you'll recall that one of the things that both Piaget and Vygotsky that ties them together is the constructive nature. They're both constructivists. The idea behind constructivism is that knowledge is built upon prior learning, prior knowledge, prior experiences, and that both of them talked about how there is certainly a biological aspects to this, but that really it is the experiential nature of everyday life that adds to our learning and how we learn. So if you recap Piaget, one of the things that most people associate with him is the stage theory, the stage ideas behind it. So we start off with uh, the sensory motor, we go to pre-operational, concrete operational, formal operation, and those are really, great ideas, well documented. Talks about different things that the kids can do at different ages, at different stages. But really, Piaget didn't focus that much on the stage aspect of it as much so as the transition between those stages. So, for instance, what you'll notice is that when you read the chapter, they discuss that Piaget talks about the qualitative shifts in their ability to think, or how they move from concrete to formal, or from pre-operationals to concrete, and how their thinking and their reasoning has just dramatically changes. And so that's kind of this idea behind the stage theory. And you can look in the chapter, and they'll talk about some of the main points behind the different stages. But what I really want to focus on is, from as a teacher dealing with K-12 learning environment, is how do we use this stuff? Okay, and one of the things that, and I told you before, that Piaget and his biological, or not, I shouldn't say biological, but his biology training, he had to develop a model for how it is that people think. And what he did was he kind of piggybacked on this idea of well, if you're going to create a model, you got to have something that's going to be the foundation. In biology, we talk about the cell. In Piagetian terms, or in Piaget's theory, it's the scheme, schema, schemata, scheme. And one way to think about that is that the scheme serves as a mental snapshot. So I think we did the examples in class. When you think about, when you hear the word grocery store, you get a snapshot. To some of you, you think of instantly, you think of Hy-Vee, or you think of Walmart, or you think of Jewel, or you think of Kroger's, or wherever your grocery store is. Sometimes people will envision, when I say grocery store, they think of the aisles, they think of the produce. That's okay, you're inside the grocery store. And you have a very vivid picture of what it is that it looks like. So you're looking down the aisles, you see all the boxes, you see all the canned goods, et cetera, et cetera. I say to you, back out of that, step back out, camera out, and you get further. You step outside, you look up on the building, and you see the name of the store that you're at. Okay, so think of a scheme or a schema as kind of that mental snapshot. I have a term, a concept, and something comes to mind. We use the example of, if I said hardware store, many of you think of Lowe's, you think of Ace Hardware, you think of Menards, whatever it might be, right? And so the idea is these schemes represent concepts, represent ideas. And so that's the foundation. That's what we're building on. From a constructive nature, we have these foundations, this foundation of pictures, of snapshots. We're constantly building on these. How do we do that? So Piaget talks about learning through a two-step process, okay? And he talks about assimilation and accommodation. Well, when you think about assimilation, the idea is that we're trying to work from a framework or a set of schemes that we already have in place. Anytime we get to a new novel problem, something that's new, we're trying to solve it, we're trying to figure it out, the first thing that we rely on is what we already know, the schemes that we have in place. So we naturally try to assimilate. Now, when that doesn't work, we got to make some changes. Okay, we have to accommodate. What does it mean to accommodate? Well, it means that we're going to have to either modify an existing scheme, or we're going to have to create a whole new scheme altogether. Now, think back for a minute. I put the problem up on the board, and we had the 9 times 4 equals 13. Well, now if you represent that problem, 9, and the 4 below that, line, x to the side, 13. At first glance, everybody laughs, thinks, well, 9 times 4 is not 13. Somebody screwed up. They meant to say addition. Well, if you put that in the context of a third grader, or I shouldn't even say that, probably a second grader, first grader, second grader, and you put that problem of 9 times 4, and you set it up, and you're looking at it, well, naturally, we look at them and say they thought the x was a plus. Well, I don't know that that's what they were thinking. They just got it wrong. Now I need to understand why they got it wrong. Now, from an assimilation and accommodation standpoint, I can figure that out. What do I need to know? Okay. Well, my natural thought is they made a mistake. They thought the x was a plus sign. Well, Maybe they didn't. Maybe they don't know what X stands for. And when they don't know what X stands for, they rely on or go back to what they already know. That's assimilation. What do they go back to? Addition. They know addition. All right, so they put 9 times 4 equals 13. Now I look back, and that's why we ask students to show their work in solving problems, sentence diagramming, physics problems, chemistry problems, math problems, whatever it is. We ask that they show their work because we need to understand as teachers where their mistake. If they make a mistake, where did it come from? Okay, was it a simple misunderstanding? Or is it maybe something that's conceptual? Maybe they don't really understand this yet. Maybe they don't have a scheme in place for multiplication. They don't know what X means. And if they don't know what X means, I got to help them create a new scheme. So I show them and I say, well, that X means groups. We're representing groups. So 9 groups of 4 equals 36. So now they create a new scheme. When they see the X, they know that means multiplication. Problem is set up the same way. 9 plus 4 equals 13. 9 times 4 equals 36. They look very much alike, but that one little symbol, X versus a plus, means that they need to modify or create a new scheme. So that's that assimilation and accommodation problem or idea. Now think back for a second for the Japanograms, when we did those little Japanograms in class. Now, as you guys were solving those problems, the things that people wear in Japanese, when you're communicating with your partner, you didn't know what those katakana characters were, so you needed to kind of say, hey, look for this. And then your partner says, look for what? Well, look for the 7 with the 2 dots. Look for the Nike swoosh. Look for the running man. Look for the box. Look for the eye. Look for, you guys gave them English terms, schemes that you have in place for what that image looked like. It was just the easiest way to communicate with your partner. Makes total sense. What do? You use what you have. So that Japanogram exercise was, they call it a Piagetian exercise because you guys had to work through both assimilation and accommodation in order to solve those problems. You relied on what you know to solve